personnel. I will discuss the table of contents for your thesis or dissertation in this video. Most universities call the research report on master's degree level a thesis and on doctoral level a dissertation. That is also how most of the dictionaries that I consulted have it. I am aware that some universities have it the other way around. And I will not argue about who is right and who is wrong. Just keep in mind that in this video I refer to the research report on master's degree level as a thesis and on doctoral level as a dissertation. In the beginning, the table of contents will be more a structure rather than a table of contents. You will probably already have decided which chapters to include in your thesis or dissertation. Also, you might need to add 1 or 2 chapters as you progress with your research. The table of contents should follow directly after the authentication of your work. Once you have written your thesis or dissertation, you will probably delete the provisional structure for a table of contents and replace it with the chapters, headings, and subheadings of your final thesis or dissertation. Keep in mind that your table of contents must not differ from the chapters, headings, and subheadings in your thesis or dissertation. At the end of your table of contents, you must also list the references that you consulted, a list of figures, and a list of tables. Universities are mostly flexible about the table of contents for a thesis, but on PhD level you will need to include 5 or 6 prescribed chapters. Also keep in mind that the thesis is a good opportunity for you to practice for when you will write your dissertation. It will not be wrong to follow the structure of a dissertation when you write a thesis. Here is a list of the most basic headings that most universities will expect you to include in your dissertation. A title page, confirmation of authenticity, acknowledgements, an abstract, your first chapter which should deal with the contextualization of your study, your second chapter which should explain the research methods that you will use, your third chapter which should provide a theoretical background, your fourth chapter which should deal with the collection and analysis of data, your fifth and probably your final chapter should deal with the synthesis and evaluation of your study. After your final chapter should follow your references, a list of tables, and a list of figures. I already discussed the title page, also called the cover page, in a previous video. You will be required by the university to confirm that the contents of your thesis or dissertation are your own work. Most universities, if not all, make use of a standard format for authentication. Here is an example. I, and then your full names and surname, declare that the title of your thesis or dissertation is my own work and that all the sources that I have used or quoted have been indicated and acknowledged by means of complete references. And then you will also need to sign it. Acknowledgements are a matter of choice. However, it is only good manners to thank people who helped you with your research. Also, the acknowledgement has real value for your research. It shows the readers of your thesis or dissertation that you conducted your research in a systematic, ethical, and disciplined manner. It also shows that you understand that research should not be done by one person only. You will mostly work alone when doing research for study purposes. But even then, there will be other players, for example, your study leader, somebody to proofread your thesis or dissertation, etc. The abstract is a mandatory summary for your dissertation. It must be short. You will be required to summarize your dissertation in 3 or 4 pages. Some readers, for example sponsors, will probably read only the abstract. Therefore, you will need to cover all the questions that they might have in the abstract. In Chapter 1, you will contextualize your study. Researchers making use of technicist research methods often claim that their findings and the principles and concepts that they use are timeless and that it applies independently of context. Even they, however, need to define the range and scope of their research. It is unlikely that they will be able to include the entire world, let alone the entire universe, in their research project. Chapter 2 will deal with your research methodology. In this chapter, you will discuss the research approach that you will use, the research methods that you will use, the paradigmatic approaches that you will follow, the data collection methods that you will use, and how you will analyze the data that you collect. Chapter 3 will deal with the theoretical background. You will probably need to do a literature study as a foundation for your research. It would be rather difficult to jump into data collection and the analysis of data if you do not know what you should be looking for. Chapter 4 deals with the actual data collection and analysis. Here you will have to discuss the actual processes of data collection and data analysis. This is a critically important chapter, and you might need to break it down into 2 or 3 separate chapters. It is from the contents of this chapter that you will come to conclusions and findings from which you will develop a solution to the problem that you investigated. Chapter 5 deals with the synthesis and evaluation of your study. It will normally be your final chapter. This is also where you will describe your solution. Depending on the purpose of your research and the research approach and methods that you used, you might develop a model, new knowledge, new methods to combat oil pollution at sea, new medicine, etc. All sources that you consulted must be acknowledged in your thesis or dissertation. Universities invariably have prescriptions in this respect, and you will need to abide by them. And then your list of figures and your list of tables. The lists of figures and tables follow directly after your table of contents, and you can actually regard it as part of your table of contents. It is important that the numbers of your figures and tables must be the same as they are in the contents of your thesis or dissertation. Different universities have different requirements for the layout of the lists of figures and tables, although most are rather flexible in this respect. In summary, your provisional table of contents will probably be just a structure consisting of chapters with no lower level content. Your actual and final table of contents must align exactly with the contents of your thesis or dissertation. Good luck with your studies. Stay healthy and safe. Thank you for watching my videos.